don't know if you heard, but there is a Nintendo Direct tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to talk about it, give our predictions and whatnot. How you doing, Parker?
I'm doing great. Is this a first time for Fanatics 4 doing predictions?
First time doing predictions, like just impromptu, like throwing it up as an isolated thing. Like we've done predictions and like directly to you dedicated episodes and stuff like that, but never like this.
Right. Well, cool. Yeah, I'm excited. It was exciting to just see that it was going to happen at all. So curious to hear. It seems like, I mean, going into this one, seeing some tweets from like insider type folks or whatever, it sounds like Imran Khan, the Game Informer dude, was like, this is going to be a big one, guys, which compared to, I think it was E3 actually, that someone, like a couple of people tweeted out before that, they were like, don't get your hopes up too high.
Yeah.
Which, turned out to be fairly accurate this past year. It was like a bunch of Smash stuff and a couple other things here and there. So,
which, to be fair, it's a very big thing.
True.
IMO. Even though I do agree that they shouldn't have spent that much time on Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Like, that was crazy. Like, I don't need that much time. I didn't need freaking 2 hours worth of, hey, Smash Brothers is coming and here's what's going to be in it. I didn't need that.
Yep. I mean, like you and Logan talked about too, it would have been great to have surprises, but we all know that's not going to happen. So, they just spent 1 billion hours talking about it instead.
Right. Rip. But speaking of surprises, let's start this off. What do you think is going to happen?
All right. Speaking of Smash, I'll go ahead and go right into that. At some point, I think they're going to show us gameplay and a release date or drop date or whatever you call it for the DLC for Joker.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen. And I'm guessing he's going to show up around April 5th. I just kind of picked an arbitrary Friday that's like early-ish in April. Because I figure, every 2 months seems because there's something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds realistic because they did say they were going to wrap it up by the end of this year. So every 2 to 3 months, I would imagine that they're going to like dole out the DLC. Because everything's going to be wrapped up by this time next year.
Yep.
So, yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah, I think that. And I think Joker, I don't know really anything about it. I haven't played Persona at all, which, on that note, too, I don't think we're going to see Persona in this Direct. I do think it's coming to Switch.
If we see Joker, I 100% think that they're going to tie that in with some type of Persona thing. Like, whether that be them straight up saying Persona 5 is coming to Switch or whatever, or them teasing the announcement of a Persona 5 coming to Switch in some way.
Yep.
Just because it's like, there's too much smoke for there to be no fire in that realm. It's very clear that they wouldn't just re-release Persona 5 like that just on PlayStation 4. That just doesn't make any sense. Even when they re-released it the last time from being on PlayStation 2, they did it on PS3 and on Vita, you know? So I think that they're going to add another platform to that, and I think that platform's going to be Switch.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think I was thinking they were going to, for some reason, I guess for this next prediction-ish part of it too, the reason that they might not do actually Persona in this one is because maybe they would, I definitely think Persona 5 is coming to Switch, but that maybe they're going to wait and do that, announce it around when Joker actually comes out or something, for the reason that I think maybe they wouldn't do them together, so I guess it wouldn't be too big of a deal, but I think they might reveal Erdrick today or tomorrow as well, and then also do a Dragon Quest 11 release date, a release window or something like that, because we don't really know a whole lot about when that's coming or whatever. So that's the only reason I was thinking maybe Persona 5 doesn't show up, is because instead Dragon Quest 11 is like the game that they tie into the Smash DLC.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how they would go about doing that, because that seems too close to when we heard about Joker and we haven't seen Joker, so it feels like to me that would be something that they would tease on its own in some way, like maybe in the next Direct, because they do like to open or end the the Nintendo Directs in times where Smash Brothers is a relevant thing with the cross logo, they like doing that. So I could imagine them trying to stretch that out as much as they possibly can.
And I do kind of hope that now that Smash is out and stuff, obviously the DLC fighters is a big deal, but there's so much other stuff going on too. I hope that that's not like kind of what they hang their hat on, like they're one more thing, that it's not the DLC fighter, but I mean, it could be, it just because, not because it's not huge, but because it's like people know about it. Like it's a known quantity. So like you don't have to spend all your time on it anymore, but whatever.
That's true.
Yep.
Granted, I mean, people knew about Smash Brothers during the E3 Direct, and they spent all their time on that.
Yeah.
But in relation to spending a lot of time on one specific thing, I think that they're going to spend a fair amount of time on Fire Emblem. The fact that they mentioned that by name, and we already know that game's coming out this year.
Yep.
Presumably early in the year, or early-ish, because it was supposed to come out last year. So I think that they're going to spend no less than 5 minutes on Fire Emblem.
I was going to say the same thing, 5 to maybe 7-ish minutes or so, and that we'd get a gameplay trailer, a story trailer, and a release date, because they seem to just like doing that. Do you know, because I can't remember, is there like DLC and stuff with that game too? Have they announced any of that there's going to be a season pass or anything?
But I would be surprised if they didn't do it, because if I'm not mistaken, they've done it with all of the Fire Emblem games, with maybe the exception of Echoes.
Okay.
But since Awakening has been a thing, we've gotten some type of DLC post-release of the big Fire Emblem games. So I would be shocked if they didn't do it in this modern day Nintendo, where their goal is to give every big title some type of DLC.
Yeah, and I'd see them showing off like a collector's edition or something like that too, with the DLC today, or again tomorrow, whatever. And that they'd put all that stuff out. So you're right, totally. Lots of time spent on Fire Emblem for sure.
Right. Especially if they like. I know that there's like some thought that maybe they'll try to do the Fates thing again, since it's called Three Houses, like have one main version and then split out the other 2 houses into like $20 to $40 DLC or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if they'll do that. I kind of doubt they'll do that. But if they do that, then we're getting at least 12 minutes of Fire Emblem.
Yep. That, man, it might be too on the nose to do that.
Out.
Yeah. Yo, no, for sure. If they spend that much time, I think I doubt that they'll spend more than, I don't know, 7 minutes is my just arbitrary number. Yeah, same.
I hope they don't. I don't even want them to spend 7 minutes on it. But hey, it's one of their big games. And a lot of people do want to see that game. I mean, and see that much of it. So.
Myself included. Like, I'd very much like to see a lot for that, because I've never played a Fire Emblem game yet, but I would love for this to be the first one. And everything I've seen so far looks really cool. But still, like if they can sell me on it in like 3 minutes, then they don't, I don't really need the extra minutes of content. But
there's going to be plenty of
for sure content. Something else. So we said that one's probably coming out early. My guess was April 26th, just kind of a random date. That's a Friday at the end of April. It feels a bit early for that, but since that one it feels a bit early for like a big spring title, but the fact that it was pushed back from 2018 in the first place, I feel like I could see that happening anyway. It's kind of short notice, but
it really just depends on how stacked their year really is. Because a lot of, like you said, like the industry insider people are like, "Hey man, like this year's more stacked than we thought it was going to be." Like, and the year was already stacked. So if we're looking at a thing of like 4 major releases every quarter, then I could see them doing Fire Emblem that close. But if it's not that stacked and Fire Emblem is like one of their like tentpole releases and there's nothing really bigger than that, because let's be real, there's a lot of Nintendo IP that are bigger than that, like bigger deals than that, to a wider base, wider base of fans. It's more that have a wider appeal. So I don't know. Like if we are in that world where there's 4 to 5 to even more than that major first party games per quarter, then maybe we'll get it that close. But if not, I think we'll get it like the month after, because Yoshi's close, like real close to that. That's March, and then immediately the next month after that, we'll get Fire Emblem. That'd be nuts.
Well, and I think so either it'll be in April or May, and the other one that I've kind of got on rotation with it is Daemon X Machina. So I feel like whichever month one comes out, the other will be flip-flopped or whatever. So I'm guessing that we'll just see a short thing for Daemon X Machina that gives May 24th release date, which was the date that was leaked out by somebody, and I'm not necessarily going off of that other than like it seems reasonable. So that's my guess there.
Yeah, I think that in some capacity we'll see every game that was mentioned or announced at E3 that isn't already out, with the exception of obviously like Metroid.
Right.
But so like we'll probably see most of the games that we know of. I don't know if we'll get dates for all of those things, but I think that if all we know of a game is like basically a logo, we'll probably see something more of it. I don't know about Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing, I don't think we'll be seeing that in this direct.
I agree. It all kind of depends. There's a couple of things, and I'll go later into... Well, actually, no, I'll just knock it out real quick right now. The things that I think we won't be seeing, barring... I feel like with maybe one... what's the word? Like sub, where I'll say I don't think we're going to see any of these, but probably we'll see one of them anyway. But I don't think we'll see Luigi's Mansion 3. I don't think we'll see Animal Crossing or Pokemon Gen 8, Star Fox Grand Prix... Or
definitely seeing Pokemon.
Oh yeah, for sure. So those are the ones. But the thing that's kind of throws a wrench in everything is now that we're in, because last year we had a January Direct and then a March Direct and then E3, whereas now we're in February. So does that mean that we're expecting to have like an April one before going into E3, or that this is it until E3?
I think we'll probably see another one before E3 because we rarely don't. Granted, we really don't have. Well, then again, no, that's not even true. Like the thought was that we always have January directs, but we don't really always have them in January. It's just always we have a direct that's like, hey, here's a big picture of what the rest of the year is going to look like, and that's what this seems to be. So that is holding true. So I think we'll get another direct like sometime before E3. Those tend to be like smaller where it's like, all right, let's get some of the other crap out of the way. At the very least, we'll get some type of Pokemon thing because Pokemon Company doesn't like having their attention shared. So like when they roll out the next Pokemon thing, it's always before E3 or after sometime. Yeah. But usually before, because they want to say, hey, the new Pokemon game's coming and this is what it's called. You'll see more of it at E3.
Yep. So I think, if we have another one, then I definitely don't think we're going to see a bunch of these. But the question is like, which game is Nintendo going to like deck out their E3 with? And if it's, for example, if it were Animal Crossing, then we would need to see that before E3, but we could see it at, the April Direct or whatever that would end up being if there was another kind of general one like that. But if not, then we would probably have to see that game now. I don't know. So there's a bunch of kind of caveats that go into that.
Yeah, I think that if we're looking at the games that we already know about, if one of the games were to be their like banner game this year, it would have to be Animal Crossing. Yeah. Because like Pokemon could be that, but I don't know if Pokemon Company's down with that, where it's like they want Nintendo to, even though Nintendo partly owns Pokemon, I don't know if they want them to use their IP in that way, in a sense. So I can see them more, and I don't know if Nintendo will want to do that. So I could see them either having some other game that we don't know about yet, or it'd be Animal Crossing. Because as far as the games that we know, the only ones that I think are big enough to carry that weight would be a Pokemon or an Animal Crossing.
Or, I mean, maybe something we don't even know about, but I kind of doubt
it. I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe they're like so confident in Star Fox Grand Prix that is what their E3 is going to be.
I mean, if it's not what we're expecting it to be, then that could very well be the case. If it's exactly what we're expecting it to be, which, I mean, like for me, I think it would still be fairly sprawling or whatever, just from, the kind of rumors we've heard. But I don't know. I can't really imagine it being, if it's mostly a racing game and even has some other stuff, then I can't really imagine it being that. But if it has like on foot sections where it's like you're Fox and going around and there's like, you know, an adventure mode of some sort, and then but the racing is kind of a main staple of it, then yeah, I could see that. But it just completely depends on what the game's like at all.
So putting like a number on it, how many first party games that we don't know about, if we see any, which I'm pretty sure we will. How many do you think that we're going to get?
How many are we going to get this year, or like see tomorrow?
How many do we think we'll see tomorrow?
Okay, gotcha. Let me see. And
then maybe if you know, what do you think they'll be?
Yep. Okay. Up to 4, which seems maybe unrealistic, but the ones that I at least,
because they're talking like they have some stuff.
No, for sure. So the first one being, this is just the next one on my list anyway, the Pikmin 3 port.
Okay.
Partly just because the King Zell thing, again, like he's mostly gotten stuff right, and I would not have guessed this game if it weren't for the fact that he, you know, that there's a rumor about it from the same guy that leaked out some of this other stuff. And so seems somewhat reputable. And if they're trying to bolster back up to Pikmin 4, an easy way to do that is just to put out the Wii U port. And it seems like
it just feels like they're trying to really bury the Wii U.
Yep, 100%.
Where they're like, hey, there's some value there. We don't want it to have value because people aren't going to buy it anyway. So let's just transfer everything that's salvageable to that console that we have that is successful and people do like.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's realistic. And you said, what was the other game besides Pikmin?
So Pikmin 3, Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Okay.
I think we'll probably see that. It's possible that with all the Metroid Prime 4 stuff we won't, but I think more likely than not the reason that they went ahead and told us about the Metroid Prime 4 stuff partly has to do with the fact that they still want to put out the trilogy and they don't want us to get our hopes up for a minute and see it and be like, oh, it's just a trilogy, it's not 4. When's 4 coming? That kind of thing. Right. Like at this point, if we see it, we'll be excited regardless because it's Metroid Prime.
I just don't know if they would do it like that because, like, if you think about how they covered Zelda in the directs, right? They would say in the directs, like, hey, here's Zelda. You're not getting this year. It's not happening. I know we said 2014, but nah, it's not 2014. So I just don't know if they would do it like that. I feel like if they were going to do the trilogy, which, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they had the trilogy this year. It would make sense just on the token that, like, you can never give people too much time to play through 3 full games. You know, like if they gave me the Prime trilogy and Prime 4 in the same year, I probably wouldn't finish the trilogy unless I streamed it.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Which is the case for me too, for sure. So, and it's interesting comparing it to, like, you know, Bayonetta 1 and 2 collection. When those first were announced, that was the first time I can think of that the Switch got a port that was obviously for the, like, you know, previously on this series, like to get you caught up on the series or the franchise or whatever. And I was expecting that they were going to do it like a TV show does the previously on, where it's like they put it out, hope a couple people bite, and then, you know, have the next installment come pretty quickly thereafter. But obviously they didn't do that. Like, we still haven't even heard again about Bayonetta 3, which I do think we might hear about in this direct. But that said, like, at this point, it seems like they might be all right with putting stuff out a ways before its sequel comes out so that people do have ample time to get into it. Because then, you know, even though it does seem weird as far as hype cycle go, like, you know, people were talking about Bayonetta again for a little while after they came out, and then it's kind of died back down. So it doesn't seem like there's a win-win exactly, but at least if they continue with that kind of trajectory, we could probably see Metroid Prime Trilogy sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I mean, I hope we do. I'd be down for it.
Yep.
Any reason to, like, dive into Metroid? Because there's, like, a lot of hype around that, and I'm not a super huge fan of Metroid, just because I haven't really experienced the games as much as I would like to. So I'd be down for that.
Yep. And I mean, there's something to be said for playing a game with kind of quality of life stuff, which playing it on Switch, A, is quality of life, and then B, you know, not having the motion control stuff or all that. Like, it's just, this is going to be like the easiest way to play it. So then if I don't get into Metroid Prime from this, there's, you know, no way that I would get into it from something else. I don't know.
The main thing that stopped me from playing the trilogy when it came to Wii U was just the fact that it required a Wii remote. I was like, I don't want to do that. I had to plug in my sensor. You know, like, no, I'm not doing that. It's not even the motion controls end of it. Like, I would be down if they put the motion controls in the Prime trilogy, like in like a Splatoon or Breath of the Wild style.
I hope it's in there in that kind of sense for sure.
Yeah, but like, I just did not want to have to do the whole like setting up the sensor, making sure I have batteries for my Wii. I didn't want to do all that. So I was like, nah, I'll pass. So hopefully they do bring it over soon enough for me to experience it in the way that is enjoyable. As far as me, I think that we'll get at least 2 games, and I think one of those games better be Mario Maker.
Yeah.
If we get Mario Maker in some fashion, I will make a video with Bob and we will not be happy about it.
What a threat.
And then the other game I think we'll see is, I mean, I'm not super sure about this because like that can go either way, but I think that we'll probably see something from Retro, whether that be Nintendo being like, hey, Retro, that's a thing that we have that exists. Remember we mentioned them with Metroid Prime Trilogy? Hell, hey, they're working on something else. I mean, Metroid Prime 4 or whatever. But yeah, I think that that's the 2 games that like I want them to make, and I think that are plausible for them to make. They could have more than that, because, I mean, like I said in my video, it's like, what are the studios doing? Nintendo has a lot of teams. Like, they have a lot of devs, and EPD alone puts out 8 games a year.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they had a lot.
I'd be curious, what if it wasn't Star Fox Grand Prix, what would you be expecting from Retro, do you think?
Okay, here's the 3 things that I would expect that they would be working on. Maybe they're the ones behind the trilogy, the Metroid Prime trilogy, Star Fox Grand Prix, or a new IP.
Gotcha.
Alternatively, which I mean I wouldn't want, and I'm not putting a whole lot of stock behind that because it does seem like they're kind of done with it. I wouldn't be surprised if they did another Donkey Kong Country game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did another like revitalization of a different Nintendo IP, because that seems to be the thing that they like to do.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see those things happening. I mean, they're already kind of doing it with Metroid Prime 4. But in a more realistic way, doing something with, I know people were hoping maybe like Eternal Darkness or something like that, as far as revitalizing a franchise. But otherwise, I mean, those all seem fairly realistic. And I'm curious about the Star Fox Grand Prix thing, but I wouldn't expect necessarily to see their project at this. Well, I don't know. I think because we really what's interesting thinking about all this is from first party standpoint, we've got a lot of like, I don't know what the best way to say it is, but like, more kind of kid friendly all Nintendo games mostly are kid friendly, but just in the sense of, things that are more, like Animal Crossing and Luigi's Mansion and Pikmin and stuff are all fairly, I don't know, just family games or something like that, as opposed to maybe a Breath of the Wild, like a more sprawling, a single player kind of thing or something for more core gamers.
Right.
So Retro's project would be something for more core gamers. And that would probably then be a holiday release, which means
I'd be shocked if Retro's game wasn't a holiday thing.
Yeah,
I don't think it ever isn't.
Yeah, but
like I'm pretty sure that Donkey Kong games came out during the holiday. Obviously, not the re-release on Switch,
right? Yeah,
but like the original releases, I'm pretty sure they were holiday.
It seems right. Yeah, no, and I agree. I had Super Mario Maker 2 on here as well. I think that's definitely coming this year. I would hope and expect that it comes tomorrow as well in the direct. But and then the last one that I had this is another one that was kind of one of those rumor ones that seems like maybe it could happen, but a 2D Zelda for this year. I don't know if that would be in this direct or not, but it could be. I have it kind of as my like big one last thing prediction.
I feel like if they were to do that, and the way that I could see them doing it, it would be a smaller thing. Mm-hmm. It would be like, like the Triforce Heroes, Four Swords situation, like where it's like, oh, hey, we have this Zelda thing and it's cool, I guess. Mm-hmm. But not like the next Zelda game and the epics. It's like, here's this thing. Uh-huh. Like even Link Between Worlds, which is like one of the best Zelda games of all time, was kind of treated as like, okay, here's this like smaller Zelda experience. Mm-hmm. I am not like a Breath of the Wild where it's like, we're delaying this 4 times.
Yeah, I am curious if it's, now that it's on the Switch, like we've really not had a 2D Zelda on a home console. I mean, obviously it's a hybrid, so it's both, but I don't know, like, what do you think art style wise for that game they'd even stick with? Something more like Link Between Worlds, or something more kind of graphically intensive in some way? I can't even envision what that would look like.
Yeah, I think if anything, we'll get like a new Super Mario Bros. Sort of situation where it's like it's HD, but it's not like HD. Yeah. Like where it's like you look at a Mario game like Mario Odyssey and you're like, wow, this looks phenomenal. But you look at Super Mario Bros. Deluxe and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
like it's nobody's looking at that game and being like, oh my god, that game is gorgeous. I think that we'll probably get that effect with whatever 2D Zelda game that they do, where it's like, it looks neat, but it's not knocking your socks off or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. Do you think, so one of these other ones, I mentioned it for a second earlier, but do you think that we'll see Bayonetta 3 at this Direct?
No. No. Mm-hmm. No.
I'm not sure. It's been a while, and it's one of those things where like it would stand out from the other kinds of games. Like if it were in the mix for E3, so say it comes out this year at some point, which it really doesn't need to at all. Like it very well can take its time. But see, yeah.
And the thing is, like, does it? Like I don't know. Like, if this is a year where Nintendo's like trying to like really double down on, hey, we're here, this is the Switch, has crazy games, and we're just going full bore all out right now with all the games that we have, I can see them doing it on that end. And I'm pretty sure Sega still has some sort of stake in these games, so maybe it helps out them. It definitely will help out Platinum, so I wouldn't be surprised if like Sega's putting some sort of pressure on them to finish that game. I'm sure Platinum for their own books wants to have this game done.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I saw part of the reason that I was thinking it came out to, or was maybe going to be in the Direct tomorrow, is that someone, I guess Hideki Kamiya, right? He's Platinum. Retweeted, or didn't necessarily retweet it, but like tweeted out something like a Bayonetta quote of some sort, which I haven't played the game, so I don't know what it was, but he tweeted that out today. So like, maybe that's a thing. But I don't know. I was looking through my Twitter to see if I could find it, but it doesn't really matter. So that said, I mean, it's possible that means something, but even then it would come out probably holiday or whatever. I think it would probably do well in this because it's around a lot of other, well, I don't know. Fire Emblem Three Houses is a fairly, kind of more, kind of that vibe of game, just as far as, it not being, it's more towards core gamers and stuff. So I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah.
What about let's see. So the last, I think that was the last. Yeah, that's the last first party anything that I've got, except for, and then so I've got some third party stuff on here.
Same.
What about online stuff? So for still Nintendo, but like for their online, what do you think they're going to be
I have doing on here? SNES. I think we'll see some sort of mention of SNES on online service.
Absolutely, that's on mine too. Do you think it'll be like it's out today, or like coming out next month or something like that?
I could see it go either way. I could see them being like, it's out now. You know how we said that we're having Kirby Adventure on there? We're also doing Superstar. I could see, and how we have Mario 2, Super Mario World. Like, I could see them trying to double down.
One of those is obviously superior to the other, and it's Super Mario Bros. 2, of course.
Of course, obviously. Did you know that it was...
Did you know that Super Mario World is Super Mario Advance 2?
But no, I could definitely see them doing that, or I could see them holding it until next quarter. I could see them also doing that. It wouldn't surprise me if they did it in like April.
Yep.
But I can see them mentioning it now.
I think the fact that they tinfoil hat a little bit. So again, the thinking that they might have had another January Direct that had been lined up and didn't end up happening. We've gotten 2 games on the NES Classic so far this year, on January 16th and then now on February 13th. We're just having 2 games a month. I wonder if we were supposed to have had the SNES games already. And so then at that point, the 2 games wouldn't have been a big deal because we're also getting SNES games. And it's like, oh, we'll just keep getting 2 games from now on instead, or something along those lines.
Right.
Which, if that's the case, I feel like they'd probably go ahead and do it's out now. So I'm probably going to just predict that they'll do an it's out now, and it'll be out.
You think they're going to like stagger release the months that we missed having 3? Where it's like, oh yeah, like, okay, we missed you last month. Here's two SNES games, and
I think we'll actually probably have like they would do a full like a dump at first in the same way that they did with NES.
Right. So you think we'll get the full 20? Like we'll get 20 SNES games at launch?
I don't know.
Because they have, I feel like they have way more to release for SNES than they did for NES.
Not even just game-wise, but content-wise, as far as like replayability of each game, for sure.
Exactly. Like the noteworthy games. Like there's more NES games that they could release that they have, but does anybody really want to play those?
Yeah.
Like...
It might depend.
What's the last one that they have? Maybe like Star Tropics? Like, I don't know.
It might depend on whether whether they announce that it's a tiered online membership kind of thing. And so the SNES games are a little bit more. And if that's the case, I bet if it's like $5 more, $10 more, then I bet we do start out with 20 new games and then also get more every month. So that would be my guess. Definitely. But on the flip side, I would be surprised if it was like, and SNES games also come for free with your Nintendo Online subscription, and here's 20 of them. Like, I would doubt that.
Yeah, that I would be shocked if they did that. I could see them definitely do them for free. Just because, like... to be like, here's this thing, and we know a lot of our consumers aren't happy with it for whatever reason. Pay more, like, so I could see them trying to give more value to the people that are already paying a certain amount.
Yep.
And then once they feel like that's enough additional value in addition to what was promised, they're like, okay, we over delivered as far as we're concerned. Now we'll double back on more monetization.
Yep. I guess it's just a question of how much they're listening as opposed to just doing what they planned on doing all along, or whatever that ends up being.
Yeah. I think listening is a tough thing for corporations in general, because corporations can hear you, but that doesn't mean that they want to do what you're telling them to,
Absolutely.
Where it's like, I'm very sure that people very high up at Nintendo understand, okay, people don't like this for whatever reason, but for one reason or another, can't really do nothing about that. Sorry about it, so I don't know. Or it could be a thing of like, okay, well, we wanted this response. We wanted to see what people wanted us to double down on, and we're prepared to do that.
But yeah, so I think SNES games, we'll see those show up in some way, shape, or form. But I think that's all I've got as far as like, do you have anything else kind of first party or any of that online services or features?
My next things were third party.
What you got?
I think we'll definitely see something from Square Enix. For sure. Whether that be them updating on like, hey, remember we said Final Fantasy, that's a thing? Well, here's the release date for the next one or whatever. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see like, here's that update on Bravely Default,
Yeah.
Or even potentially like, Kingdom Hearts 3, that's the thing that came out. It's blowing up the charts. It's coming to Switch, like I wouldn't be surprised to see that either. But I feel like that would be like a Japan-centric announcement first, where they kind of tease it in some way in Japan, and then they release it like in a direct worldwide in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree on the Square Enix thing. And I think... I'm guessing that it's Final Fantasy. Probably that 7 isn't available now kind of thing. Because they had a lot of success with that with when they announced all the Final Fantasy stuff. And then they had, what was it? Final Fantasy 15 mobile version come to the Switch. It, sold really well. So I feel like they probably enjoy that at this point and are going to do the Final Fantasy 7. And maybe that 9 would be available now too. But that seems kind of a lot of eggs in one bat. I don't know. Like, I'd more likely, I feel like 9 is one of those, it'll be available in like, I don't know, a month or like 2 weeks or something like that instead. But
or they'll pull a rabbit from their hat and say, hey, you thought we all hated 8, didn't you? This was our announcement. 8's coming.
Yep. That'd be fun. But yeah, no, I think for sure the Final Fantasy games, I would love to see Bravely Default stuff because I've heard great things about those and I really enjoyed Octopath, but I, for some reason, don't see that happening this time. But it's bound to happen eventually. They've, teased about it enough times that it's got to happen sooner or later. But yeah, I agree on the Square Enix thing. Another third-party one that I've got that may be on yours as well because of leaks and whatnot. Assassin's Creed 3 Remaster.
Yep.
Coming day
and
and
day.
That
was actually the first thing that I wrote down.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that one's real straightforward. Any comments on that one?
Hey, that was actually the first Assassin's Creed that I played. And it was only because it was on Wii U. And it was like, I have this Wii U, I'm buying games for it and stuff. This is one of the launch titles. Sure, why not?
Uh-huh.
And Wii U, just a tangent. Weird, very weird. Like, I had literally no games at launch that I wasn't stabbing or shooting somebody in that game. And that is very un-Nintendo.
Very un-Nintendo,
I had to go out and say, okay, I guess I'll buy new Super Mario Bros. Because I just don't want to stab stuff anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, it was like, okay, like, this is just too much.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, but tangent over.
Yeah.
Back to Assassin's Creed. Yes, I think we'll definitely see that. And that was kind of, I don't know, I should have put some footage in my video when I mentioned that whole thing. It was like the direct announcement thing where it's like, you better not say Switch. You better not mention Switch because we want to mention Switch. We want to have that messaging where it's like, don't do that, because I feel like most people that care about these games are looking at the initial announcement and they're thinking like, oh, I guess it's just not a Switch game.
Yep.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if people still didn't know that like Crash Bandicoot was on Switch just because it wasn't initially announced when they announced that it was coming to Xbox One. So it's like man,
the number of people, I mean, yeah, because Microsoft or Sony or whatever will just pay for the marketing rights for a certain game, and like the number of people after, I don't know, like Anthem or something at E3 when Microsoft was the one talking about Anthem and it showed Xbox at the end or something like that, and people were like, wait a minute, so like, oh, I guess I gotta go get an Xbox to play this game. It's like, no, you've got a PS4. Like, you don't have to, but you can. But I think a lot of people who aren't necessarily tuned into all of that, you're right, will just see the initial trailer or something, like the thing that's grabbing all the hype, and then whatever platforms it talks about, they just assume that's it, nothing's gonna change there. Yeah. So I think it does. I think they do shoot themselves in the foot a little bit with wanting to have that kind of exclusivity thing, which, again, I mean, if there was supposed to be a direct earlier, blah, 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 like maybe they would have had the exclusive scoop first, but I don't know, maybe not. So.
Right. It could have very well been the January direct thing, and then they announced that. So, yeah, I could see that. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yep. My next third-party one. Wait a minute. No, I said that last one. What's your next third-party thing?
We already mentioned the Persona thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Harmonix. There was like
something
about
what
Harmonix
even. I saw that, but I don't really know anything about Harmonix.
Harmonix is like the team behind like Rock Band and like what is that game called? It starts with an A. It was like a PlayStation game, but I don't remember what it's called.
Big old rock band.
Rhythm. They do like rhythm games and stuff like that. But meh, I saw it and I was like, sure, why not? I guess.
Yep. Yeah. exactly. Like it seems like at this point there's going to be something, but it's not going to be something I really care about.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, unless people would be very excited about this, if Harmonix teamed up with Nintendo to do like a Chorus Kids game or something.
Yeah, that would be cool.
People would be real stoked, but I feel like there's more that goes. I don't know anything about Chorus Kids games because I've never played any, but it seems like there's more. Oh, Rhythm Heaven. Sorry.
Yeah, Rhythm.
There's more that goes into it than just the rhythm elements. It seems like like with most Nintendo games. So yeah, I don't know, but I mean, if they're teaming up with them,
Rhythm Heaven is basically the Mario Party rhythm minigame.
Yeah,
like, that's basically what that game is.
Gotcha.
But I feel like. I would be surprised if they let them do that because that is like a very like Japanese property.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to be like, yeah, here, Western company, head this game up, it's like I don't know. I don't know if they would let that game go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So Harmonix, look for something from that probably. And my next,
I know you're all most excited about that.
100%. Yeah, my next one, this one was a leak from a while ago, but also just it makes sense and I could see it. But we haven't heard anything about it in a while. But Witcher 3 coming to Switch would be really cool. But yeah, it was a leak from I don't remember when exactly, but like a couple months ago or so. So I don't know, low percentage, but possible nevertheless that it could happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of that with any direct. Like I feel like I never go into a direct thinking like, okay, this is going to happen and this is going to happen and this is going to happen because Nintendo announces things like Mario Odyssey out of nowhere, where it's like we didn't even like people are like, wait, is that a new Mario game? Like what the heck? So yeah, it's just like. We could either have nothing or everything, and that's the exciting part.
Right. Yep. And there's been times where it's definitely been one of either and is either very disappointing or whatever. But it sucks too because like the fact that it does that and that it's so unpredictable makes a lot of people get really excited for their specific thing. So even if they have like, the September Direct, for example, had tons of heavy hitters, but a lot of people were really excited for the exact kind of thing they were hoping for. And then so when those things didn't happen, then even though Animal Crossing was there and Luigi's Mansion 3 was there and some other first party stuff, it wasn't as exciting because we didn't get a new Golden Sun game, which I am not predicting that, but would love a new Golden Sun game at some point.
Jesus, if you're going to subtweet Bob, at least add him. Man. I know that he was disappointed about no Mario Maker, but you don't gotta do him like that. That's crazy. Hashtag YouTube beef.
Indeed. Yeah. What's you got anything else, AJ?
Mario Maker, or I'm gonna make that video, Nintendo. Hey, already have the thumbnail ready.
This one's kind of random, but do you think any chance of Apex Legends?
Nah.
Okay, because there was some rumor type stuff around that. I don't think it's super likely.
Soon.
Yep.
I think that they're probably thinking about it and they want to do it, but I think that they had to I don't think that they could turn around and port it that fast. Maybe in the direct during E3.
Yep.
Like, not even the one before that, but during E3, maybe they'll be like, hey, Apex Legends, and it's out now, like Fortnite.
Yeah. I think the only way that we would see it tomorrow is if they knew they'd been already working on it and it's ready to go, and for some reason they were holding it off for the Direct, but that still seems just odd that they would do that when it was just a week later. Like, that they would, wait a week to do an out now, because it's like, it was an out now situation for everything else last week.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't really anticipate that. But, I mean, if it is, it's neat. But I'm not really expecting it.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. It would be very weird if they said, hey, we have a Switch version of this thing. Mm-hmm. And they, announced that soon to when it initially released and it's not ready,
Yep.
And if it is ready on the other token, then they should have just announced it. Like, if that was another thing of Nintendo holding back an announcement because they wanted to do it, that's insane. If they could have had that day one Apex Legends hype and they're like, nah, we're gonna hold this game until our Direct. That would be crazy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that's about all I've got for. I mentioned Dragon Quest XI. I think probably something with that too. But yeah, that's it. That's for me.
We're going to get the PlayStation 4 announcement that the S version is coming to PlayStation 4 too. That's what's going to happen.
We're going to get the announcement that PlayStation 4 is coming to Nintendo Switch. Something like that.
Definitely. Or Xbox.
Yeah.
Xbox, hey, maybe.
You never
maybe
know.
They say Xbox Live is coming to Nintendo Switch Online.
Games Pass.
Yo, it'd be lit.
There you go.
Speaking of lit, it's been lit hanging out with you guys on our first ever Nintendo Direct predictions impromptu upload the day before it comes out. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Parker, did you enjoy it?
I did. Hey AJ, are you gonna be streaming the Direct at all tomorrow or something?
Did we publicly say this?
No
I don't
idea.
even know. I thought that
this is also me legitimately asking as well as
I thought that was like a slide, like, hey, plug this
both.
thing. But no, I see. This is the thing. Like all my interactions with Bob and Dan, and like most of the other YouTube friends that I have, it all bleeds together. It all feels like everything was public.
Yep.
So it's like we're DMing about that literally minutes ago, where Dan was like, hey, are we going to do this? And Bob was like, duh. So I'm like, yeah, everybody knows that. We're going to do it. Yes, we're streaming this Direct tomorrow, and you guys should all come hang out and watch and get popcorn, because we're going to have popcorn. And Bob's going to have a hard hat. I hear is the plan.
Nice.
So that he can rage if it's not announced. And I hear that there's other things that he may or may not get if it does get announced. And something may or may not happen if it gets announced. So tune in for that. Either way, it'll be entertaining. If we get Mario Maker, something's going to happen. And if we don't, something else is going to happen. Find out what tomorrow. Okay, goodbye.